Okay, I'm gonna try to make this video as short as possible. May get a little long, so bear with me. This is about the Tamron tap-in console for Sony. Now, I've got these for Nikon and Canon, and I'm sure a lot of other people do. But the one for Sony is especially rare because, I mean, there just really weren't that many Sony-A mount users, so they probably didn't sell that many Sony-A mount Tamron lenses. So I mean, this unit itself, I never see for sale. So when I saw one on the used market, I snagged it right away. I'm sure there's other people with these, but they are very rare because I just don't think anyone bought these. So they're not floating around. And there's probably a warehouse full of them that got, thrown away or recycled. Anyway, I digress. So this is the latest Tamron website. Oh, by the way, the date is September 27, 2024. So many, many years after all this is all this has gone out of style. Passion of mine is dead systems, but let's go on. So this is the website at Tamron showing lens firmwares for DSLR cameras. The formatting on this is actually worse than it used to be, maybe because they just don't care about these old legacy products. Actually, it's kind of like this for the mirrorless too, which kind of seems like a step backwards. But anyways, if you look at all these firmwares, you'll see a lot of them are Canon, Nikon. No Sony firmwares at all for DSLR. And if you scroll down this list, there's one. It is for the 90mm 2.8 macro. It's weird they call it a VC because they actually took the VC out of the Sony version. Model number F017, Sony Alpha version 2 firmware. And that's the only lens that they have listed as a non-version 1. So version 1 would have been the original firmware. You don't need the dock to update to version 1. So according to Tamron's website as of 2024, this is the only available firmware for Sony Alpha mount, and it's the one lens. So, you buy the thing and you can update the firmware on one lens. Now you can obviously adjust, focus and other options on the other lenses, but as far as firmware updates are concerned, there was only one lens. Now I went back in the Wayback Machine and I found this was the last, it was from like 2020, what was it? March of 2023. It used to be formatted like this. Here we go. A little bit easier to read actually. And you can see they actually list the Sony version for the other kind of like new style SP lenses. And you can see, the 35mm only on version 1 for Sony, so no firmware updates. And again, it's basically the same. The only one showing with a firmware update to version 2 was the 90mm macro, which is the same information that is on the latest version of the website, not necessarily the archived version. And then if you actually click on the description or the change notes for this 90mm macro, it says the same thing if you click on the archived or the new version or the latest version of the website. It just says, it just adds compatibility to the tap-in console, which is, there's no changes to the AF logic or anything. It's just compatibility, whatever. Now, I've not actually updated the firmware on my lenses, so we're gonna do this live. And let's see what happens. Let's see if the website is accurate. Because it says the 45mm 1.8 for Sony does not have a firmware update ever. So let's plug that one in and see what the software itself says. and we'll go from there. I'm gonna do this live. I haven't updated, like I said, I haven't updated the firmware on these, so we'll see what happens. I got these relatively recently, about a month ago, both used, and I believe they are on their factory original firmware. So let's start with the 45 mil. And I've tested these on my A900 right here. They work. So these lenses do work. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna try to do this one-handed. I'm doing it in one take. Okay, let's see, where's the index? I gotta put the phone down. All right, so I'm plugged in on the 45 mil and I'm going to start the app. See what happens. Oh. Okay, hold on. This didn't happen before. Let's just go ahead and open security. Open anyway, open. There we go. Got the blue light and look at this. Lens firmware is up to date, is not up to date. So that's weird, right? Because according to the Tamron website, the 45 millimeter 1.8 should only be on version 1 firmware. And yet the app is telling me there's a firmware update. I saw this before, but I didn't want to update because I wanted to do the update on camera. So let's do the update and see what it does. Hopefully it doesn't brick my lens. Yada, yada, yada. I'm gonna hit okay. So it's pulling a firmware from Tamron servers. Who knows what version, because it's not documented. And you know, like I said, we'll do this live. It's beeping or blinking. I'm at 7 minutes now. Sorry, I like to ramble. Update complete. And look at that. Firmware version 2. Not documented. I don't know. I don't know what the change notes are. What's different in version 2, but it seems like there's a version 2. And I mean, it seems to all be working. So let's close out of this. I'm gonna take the lens off briefly. I'm gonna put the camera down, put it on my A900 and just check if it still works. And I'll be right back. Well, I'm not really gonna be right back. I'm just gonna keep recording. So removing the lens, putting it on the A900, turning the camera on. AF still seems to work. Yep, AF is working. And well, I don't have to check the aperture because that's mechanically linked. So yeah, that's cool. I got a version 2 firmware that who knows how many people have actually updated these lenses to the undocumented firmware. Probably very few, like me and 3 others, who knows. But I haven't found any forum posts or videos about people doing this, so that's why I'm making this video. So okay, let me take this lens off and I'll put the cap back on. Okay, so that's updated to version 2. Now let's go ahead and grab the 90 millimeter. And again, I'll probably have to put the camera down to put this thing on. So bear with me 1 second. All right, so the dock is on the lens and I'm gonna go start the tap-in utility again. it is detecting the lens, and it says version 1 firmware. It says there's an update, and according to the website, there's a version 2 update. Also, according to the website, the version 2 update is, I don't know, it says compatibility, the version 2 firmware brings compatibility to the tap-in console, which doesn't make any sense. Or it seems to imply that I would need to apply that update at their service center since it's not supported by the tap-in console. I don't know. Anyway, it seems like that's not the case, and I'm just gonna hit yes. Okay. So it's grabbing firmware from the server. And let's see what version of the firmware I get. If it's going to be version 2 or something else. Okay, update complete. Looks like I just went to version 2. So that was already documented. Okay, at least I got version 2. And those are the only lenses that I've got. I know there's other lenses listed that don't have firmware updates, but since my 45mm had a firmware update that wasn't documented, who knows if the other lenses also have firmware updates that aren't documented. I guess, I mean, I could wrap it here, but let me just put this lens back on the camera to see if I bricked it. Don't think I bricked it. So let's see, I'm gonna close out. Remove the lens, putting it on my 900. AF still seems to work, so it doesn't look like it's bricked. Yeah, looks all good. All right, I'm gonna call it there. I'm gonna make another video for the similar thing with Sigma. I have a Sigma dock, again, a rare item for Sony alpha mount. You can find tons of them for Canon and Nikon, but for Sony, not so much. So I have got a couple of Sigma lenses that I'll also do the same thing with to see if there are any undocumented lens firmwares for the Sony alpha system. And yeah, watch out for that other video. Okay, that's it. See ya.